sometimes we criticise him because we think, especially myself, I look at him and I go,
Bruno is massively disrespected. No player's created more chances since he signed for Man United in the Premier League, by the way. Yeah, not Kevin De Bruyne, nobody. He's created more chances than anybody since he signed for Man United. So he's doing these things. So if you put a human touch on that, you would be frustrated. You would be pissed off that the club's signing players that ain't been able to deliver. You would be going and one of the things that he gets criticised for, and I understand why he does, but you've got to look at the reasons why he's doing what he's doing. Sometimes you see him going to the fullback trying to get the ball. Sometimes you see him going to the centre half to try and get the ball. Then you see him trying to get in up front and on the edge of the box and trying to do crazy things. That's frustration because he's not being able to do what he should be doing. I know what he's being asked to do. He's not doing it. So right, you get out of the way, holding midfielders, and I'll go and get it and show you what to do. That's what he's doing. Yes, guys, welcome to this episode of Rerd Presents. Joel Beya, my usual left hand, he's just sitting on my side there, and we've brought in Kieran Maguire onto the pod this week. How you doing, Kieran?
I'm grand, very good, thank you, Rio.
He is the professor of football, this guy. Eh? Am I right in saying that?
Football finance? Yeah, I know nothing about football.
Professor of finance, that's what I'm going to call him anyway. Yeah, I got so much to talk to you. I want to just unpick so much, especially with my old club, Manchester United, after publishing their latest accounts. And there's a number of big issues that are affecting clubs in the Premier League right now. And I can't wait to kind of get into that because, listen, I think you've got the brain capacity to actually unpick all that for us and the audience and the people that are listening. So where are you at, Joel? What's going on?
For me,
Your
I think
club's in disarray as well.
Well, it depends. Not really. Off the pitch, not as much as on the pitch. But I think it's important because everybody talks about this thing called PSR and, how clubs are run in general, who's making what payments, how much are the owners pocketing. Can we start off by being plain and simple? PSR, what is it and how does it affect our league?
Okay. The way that it works in the Premier League is as follows. You've got the money coming in, which is from ticket sales, it's from broadcast deals, it's from your sponsorship deals as well. And then you've got the money going out. Now, the majority of the money going out of football is going out in the form of wages and transfer fees. And what the clubs decided was in 2013, they said you cannot spend more than 105 million than you're bringing in over 3 years. Mm-hmm. And when they brought that in, it was actually not an issue because clubs weren't losing that amount of money. But what we've seen over the years is that, yes, they've got the new TV deals, yes, they've got the new sponsorship deals and so on, but that's not going up as fast as wages. So if we take a look at the sort of the history of the Premier League, since it started in 1992, the money coming into the game's gone up by 3,000%. That's absolutely brilliant because prices for us as punters have sort of doubled. If you think about what you're paying for milk and stuff, they just sort of doubled in a bit. So Premier League's absolutely fantastic. Player wages have gone up by 3,800%. And player and transfer fees for players have gone up by over 4,000. So eventually you reach this point, which we've had over the course of the last 2 to 3 years, where clubs have now started to hit that £105 million. And that's why we've seen all the car crashes. We've seen what's happened with Forest and Everton, both getting points deductions. Leicester managed to prove that they weren't in the Premier League. Despite being in the Premier League, they've got an absolutely brilliant lawyer. And
Man City.
City have done weird and wonderful things, which we're going to find out probably by the end of March with a bit of luck as to what the Commission's going to do on that.
Well, just quickly before we go deep into it, what's your gut feeling on that from the professor?
If found... What City have been accused of is this. They're taking money from him upstairs who runs the club, Sheikh Mansour, and they've been pretending that it's from the sponsors. That's the first accusation. Secondly, they've been paying people off book. So if you look at Mancini, when he was the coach there, he was supposedly on £2 million a year from City and getting £2 million a year.
From what?
4 days training in Abu Dhabi. Now, look, if somebody wants me to go across to Abu Dhabi University,
you take that deal,
I'll take it. I don't see anything wrong with it. And if it's on his tax return, he's done nothing wrong. But the Premier League don't like it. And the third accusation is that Manchester City have not cooperated with the Premier League. And City says, well, you've hacked our email, so why should we cooperate with you? So that's what they've been accused of. If they're found guilty, if we take a look at what happened at Everton and Forest, they got a 6 and a 4 point deduction.
For what, similar things?
Well, for far less, far less. They were just over 3 years. Manchester City, the accusation, it covers the period 2009 to 2018, and what they're being accused of is fraud. That's a big word, big word in the world of finance.
Fraud City.
So, if found guilty, what they said in the Forest report, this is a minor offence. City being accused of a major offence and covering 9 years. So you've got to be looking at adding at least 1 0 to that point deduction that Forest got.
Wow.
So that's 40, 60, 80, 100 points. They can't relegate them because the Premier League and the EFL aren't the same organisations. They can't do what we've seen in Juventus. They can't do effectively what we saw in Scotland. They can't relegate, but they can give them a points deduction, which is so big, it effectively relegates them.
I understand. So what about clubs like Chelsea? I mean, how have they been able to skate past all of this? Is it because they had Roman Abramovich before, or what's the situation?
Well, certainly when Roman Abramovich came in, they just threw money at the club. And it cost him 900 grand a week for 19 years. That was, and he got a free car park space and a programme when he went there. So he did get something back, but 900 grand a week was the cost to Roman. The way that they've got away with it since the new owners have come in is Chelsea don't get enough credit for their ability to sell players. So Tammy Abrahams, Tomori,
I was
Mason
talking
Mount.
to someone about this. Their academy's been a conveyor belt of like just bringing money back into the company. What is it, like 200 million over the last, or 300 million over the last like 10 or so years?
Well, since Sir Alex retired, because I think United have been. I think you've got to look at Manchester United as the club when Sir Alex was there, and the club since Sir Alex has retired. Chelsea have made around about 750 million in player profits. Manchester United made 140. So Chelsea are bringing in £5 for every one, and that's going back to your old club, Rio. That's where the problems have been at United.
We'll get to that later. Don't depress me so early.
And do you know what? They save a lot of money as well because their loan system is really good as well. If you look at where and how they loan their players, Chelsea, very unspoken of, man. Like,
so instead of going just like picking teams out, what causes the most damage to clubs? Like, is it overspending on wages or transfers? What would you say is the suicidal move with PSR?
It's buying players, budgeting to finish 8th and finishing 18th. Because in the Premier League, you get an extra £3 million for every position that you go up. I mean, Everton, I think the season they got their points deduction, they thought they were going to finish 8th. So therefore, they budgeted to get an extra 20-25 million pounds coming into the club. Didn't have a good season, finished 16th, 25 million down. They've gone over the limit. They were gambling. That was the problem.
What about if you think you're going to get top 4 or you think you're going to win the league? You've changed loads of managers and then you finish 15th. How does that work?
Why are you doing that for? This is the education.
No, it is. I want to be educated. What happens then?
I just said don't single out a club.
And then, I didn't hear you. I was listening to the professor.
That's what I'm saying with this guy.
How does that?
Well, if you look at the contracts at Manchester United, I don't see individual.
I didn't say
contracts.
Manchester United, by the way. But go on.
Everyone knows what you're saying, Joel.
Go on. Sorry, Kieran.
So if you budget at a particular club, what we tend to see in the world of the elite clubs, if you don't qualify for the Champions League, then the following season you have to take a pay cut. Or you say that there's a big bonus for getting into the Champions League. And Manchester United's accounts, for example, they came out last week. The wage bill has gone down because this season, they're in the Europa League compared to last season when they're in the Champions League.
Oh, man. And then next year, if they don't get Champions League football again, does it reduce further? It
won't, but what will happen next season is they're not in the Champions League. They've signed this absolutely amazing deal with Adidas. It's £90 million a year. Adidas effectively fined them £10 million for not getting into the Champions League. So what United should be doing is focusing on winning the Europa League because that will give them an automatic slot next season.
But you know that the books have just been published.
Yeah.
Are we? There's people outside the club who are kind of really, really worried, and that the club's in a far worse financial situation than actually we're being led to believe. How true is that?
No, it's not true. I think there's been a bit of scaremongering put out. Who's putting it out? We're not sure. First of all, it's Manchester United. So if it's Manchester United, you're talking with a megaphone because because of the elite nature of the club. It's still generating plenty of cash. If you take a look at the thing that we tend to look at when we're doing our analysis is how much are they paying out in wages compared to how much is coming in at Manchester United. For every £100 that the club brings in, they're spending 53 on wages. UEFA says if you're below 70, you're fine. So Manchester United got the third lowest in the Premier League. So the problem isn't the wages. It's all of this talk is there to justify or trying to justify sacking the staff. But it's not Dave and Sharon in the ticket office that's the problem at Manchester United. It's player recruitment. And we mentioned earlier, Chelsea very successful at selling players. So they're £600 million behind Chelsea. They're £200 to £300 million behind all of those other clubs that I've just mentioned. That's been the problem.
Just to go back to what you just said there about John and Sandra, whoever it was, in a ticket office, obviously that culling of a lot of jobs, 200 plus jobs recently that have gone. We're led to believe as the fans that that's going to have a big impact on the P&L sheet. You're saying that is nothing to do with it.
No, because...
So why are they then doing that?
Because that's how INEOS, who are the new owners, they're used to running chemical factories and industrial businesses, where what you're always trying to do is you're trying to cut cost, because you want to be able to sell your product cheaper than your competitors. Well, Manchester United does not have to sell its product. Manchester United's an elite football club, so it can charge top dollar price. I think that's just that they're so used to that as is their way of running the business, but they're not selling chemicals. Manchester United's for all of the faults. I could spend 3 hours listing the faults of the Glazer family.
Oh, that's what I wanted to talk. I wanted to go on to that. The Glazers family. Go on, let you finish before we go on to it.
But creating jobs in Manchester, that you can't put that on their ticket, can you? The job numbers have gone up, but if INEOS had just let natural wastage take place, a lot of those jobs would have gone over the course of 1 to 2 years. So I think they're in a bit of a problem PSR wise because they recruited Dan Ashworth. They had to pay Newcastle, we don't know, probably 3-4 million compensation. They then sacked Dan Ashworth. The press are saying it cost him £4 million to sack him. They got the change of manager. That was another 21 million. That's 30 million quid.
Wow, in a heartbeat.
And
have INEOS been naive?
Well,
in different aspects, in terms of recruiting maybe the wrong people like Dan Ashworth, but also the job culling, etc., and what impact that's had on the club and them, especially from a PR perspective.
When they came in, there was all of this goodwill. It was being marketed as local lad Jim Ratcliffe has come in to save the club, which he used to watch as a kid.
Knight in shining armour, wasn't it?
There was all of that, and the United fan base was united, and it's not been united for some time because there's been no love lost towards the previous owners, and all of that's now disappeared because I lived in Manchester for 40 years myself. My kids were born in Manchester, and you hear things on the streets, that everybody's miserable, everybody's looking over their shoulders, and yes, the job of the players is to be professional and to try to deliver on the pitch, but if you're conscious that there's nobody with a smile on their face when you go into work, that has an impact. And it's all the
morale of the place. Any business, you need good morale. Whether a small business or a massive business, the morale it drives culture and it drives goodwill for a period of time as well. But just on INEOS, how complicated is it for INEOS to come in and analyse the finances and to learn about the business, being that they're not from a real football background and like you say, chemicals and industrial businesses are their thing? Well,
they've got a lot of experience in sport. They've got a club in France.
Nice.
They've got Nice. They've worked in cycling. They've worked in the sailing, and they've got this sponsorship arrangement with New Zealand Rugby. So they should know that what drives success in sport, and as you're absolutely right, Rerd, it comes down to the culture and it comes down to morale and goodwill. And people don't mind putting in an extra shift. People don't mind answering that extra email out of
that's what
office
I worry
hours.
About with that culling.
If all you're concerned about is
when I played there, staff at Man United, every member of staff used to go above and beyond. Whether it's the groundsman, the dinner ladies, Kath at the desk, God rest her soul, and the coaching staff, players, everyone's going above. But because it was like we are a unit, we are together, and we win and lose together. But when I look at that, and you go, right, they're dropping the price. Even that, the PR for the ticket prices. Surely you go, right, let's just put that fat on the corporate seats and leave Joe and Sandra in the Stretford end at their normal price. From a PR perspective, surely it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's an easy win. Liverpool last week said, we're freezing ticket prices in the COP. We've got tickets available for kids from Liverpool for £9 because we want to be part of Liverpool. We want to be part of the identity. And I think they've actually played a blinder here because they've looked at all this bad news coming out from Old Trafford.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that much to make ourselves look really good. And
That's clever.
on a winner.
Let's go to the Glazers. Sorry, Joel. Let's
go
go
on.
to the Glazers because I think if you're looking at it from a fan's perspective, there's so much to get into here because they've been the kind of target for most of the Man United fans, if not all, for many years now. How much of the current financial woes and worries are actually down to the Glazers' loan and management of the debt, which I think is the real big kind of, it's not the what's the word again? It's not the elephant in the room, but it's the main talking point.
I think in the early years of the takeover, if you go back to 2005, the Glazers effectively, they couldn't afford to buy Manchester United. So they got Manchester United to borrow the money to allow them. And that debt's been stuck on the books of the club since then.
Just before you say, it's an unbelievable deal if you can get it, isn't it? If you can get it, it's the deal of the century.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to buy a football club, the best football club in the world, with the bank's money, and make the club pay off that debt.
How much was it? 300 mil? How much was it?
700.
700 mil.
But
sorry, go on.
But since then, no. Since then, it's cost them practically $1 billion in interest.
It costs who?
Well, sorry, Manchester United. So that's $1 billion.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that could have gone onto the playing budget. That could have bought you a new Old Trafford.
So they've got that interest to pay, which they put onto the club's bill now, not their own. They lent the money, but made the club pay for their lending.
Well,
in effect.
Yeah.
And they take now a management fee also to run the football club, which is what?
Well, we don't know quite. They were taking 16 million a year out in dividends.
So if they'd have paid that 16 million pounds and said, "Listen, we're not going to take that management fee," what would that equate to over the course of their tenure?
Well, they started that in 2016, so they've taken out about 120, 130 in total.
So that could have went towards paying off the debts.
And that was between 2016 and 2021. And no disrespect, Manchester United weren't exactly at the races during that period of time. They're getting through managers, so, and they got all the compensation for sacking managers and so on. If the club's being successful, the fans don't care about the finances.
Yeah, in our time, people were people are in and but it wasn't like it is now.
No,
because they're not winning. Success clouds and hides a lot of stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah. And now the Glazers have come in for stick because, as an away fan, going to Old Trafford used to be the Mecca, if argued, but it's a 20th century stadium in the 21st century, and you go to Spurs and you go, wow, this is it. I'm 6 foot. I can't sit at Old Trafford because the seats are too small and crazy things like that. Yeah, they've spent money on the corporates. Yeah, they've spent money on the hospitality seats, but for the regulars, and I played for Trafford Cricket Club for donkey's years. And we were half red, half blue. But the United fans there, they say, well, since the Glazers have arrived, we'll arrive at 10 to 3. We're straight out. We're not giving them a penny in merchandise money. We're not going to give them any money for catering.
Wow.
That's how Manchester United fans felt about the Glazers.
Wow.
And that's caused further issues. Spurs make 800 grand a match from catering alone.
Wow.
Because they're really smart at what
Good
they
beer
do.
there, isn't it? Good beer.
So what's more damaging though? Poor recruitment or the Glazers?
Oh, good question, Joel.
Ultimately, the Glazers appointed the people that did the recruitment.
Yes.
So you've got to...
Yes, Kieran.
You've got to go up that chain of command.
No, that's ridiculous, man.
The recruitment's been horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
Also, part of the recruitment is getting people in to actually improve the players that you're recruiting as well. And that's where it's been even worse. It's all right bringing in players that might not be good enough or players that we think are going to be good enough, but none of them get better. And I always keep saying this, Bruno's the only one, and Cristiano Ronaldo, who perform anywhere near to what we anticipated them when they came. Maybe Zlatan as well.
I've got a further question when it comes to this PSR stuff. Again, we're still learning. When you see the fact that players from academies are being sold, how has that been allowed to go through the system undetected, especially if this is something that started in 2012, 2013?
This is a shit rule, this one. Kieran, clear it up for us.
Right. When you look at PSR, it's the profit on a player sale that goes into your calculations. So if you look at Chelsea selling Romelu Lukaku, they bought him for 97, they sold him for 30. So there's a loss of 60 there. Now, even if you do a bit of accounting adjustments, Chelsea probably still lost 20. But how much did Conor Gallagher cost Chelsea? How much did Mason Mount?
Tammy.
Yeah.
Solanke.
All of these players. So because it's profit, if you sell Conor Gallagher for 40 million and he's come through the academy, that's 40 million pure profit. That's straight into your PSR calculation. We've got children, people, they were recruited as children. They're being treated as commodities to dig the club that's made mistakes out of a problem. I think we talk about football clubs, you've got to look at the owners. How often have the owners of Arsenal and Manchester United and City and Liverpool, how many matches have they attended in the last 5 years? So because they've got no connection to the club, they don't understand why we as fans feel that extra special connection. We all sing he's one of our own. I mean, it does mean more, but that is now being diluted purely to appease the
It's one of the best feelings at a football club. I came through at West Ham, and to see other young players coming through after me, Carricks and Joe Coles, Defoe, my brother, Glenn Johnson, it's a beautiful feeling. Class 92 would have been probably feeling the same about the likes of Wes Brown, John O'Shea, Darren Fletcher, etc., and so on. But it's also almost created another market underneath that. If you look at the England team, I saw a thing ages ago with Carl Walker came through at Sheffield United, Harry Maguire came through, John Stones came through at Barnsley. These clubs were living off of that fee that they're going to get, either the next sale or the sale initially that they make. There's now created a massive market where even earlier at 13, 14, 15, there's now a market where the big clubs are cherry picking out of the little clubs, and now they're not going to have that ability to earn money later down the line that could be substantial. 4 million Barnsley got from a sell-on.
4 million?
Yeah, when John Stones went.
That's because the Premier League a few years ago said, we're introducing this thing called the Elite Player Performance Plan. Because you used to have the 90-minute rule, didn't you? They say, we're going to scrap that, and now the big clubs, if they see an exciting 9 or 10-year-old, they can bring them to that club's academy. And that's not good for the child's welfare, because if you're having to travel 2 hours there, 2 hours back, twice a week, that's time out of your school. And players' education is absolutely essential. And if I was 9 or 10 years old, I'm being offered a chance to train at this football club. You understand it from the kids' point of view, but it's not good for the development. And of course,
the grassroots, the pyramid as well. Like those clubs lower down, Exeter's, etc. These clubs are relying on that day. A great example, MK Dons, Dele Alli. They're relying on these guys that one day we're going to get an unbelievable gem, and he's going to go and he's going to turn around the fortunes of this football club at some point after 50 games or something. That's becoming highly unlikely now. It's a shame.
You had questions about United when we spoke about the next steps.
What are the key steps? If you was to go, right, here's a 4, 5, 6 point plan where Man United, you've analysed the books, etc., in the club. This is where they can actually make a real dent in what's gone on so far and actually generate a club that financially looking more stable, but also might see a reflection on the pitch as well.
Well, they've got to spend smart rather than spending big. If you look at what Liverpool have done, where they were in 2009 when FSG came in, they recruited a director of research, they recruited Michael Edwards, and they said, this is how we're going to build a team. So we're not recruiting players, we're recruiting a team. And we're going to get a coach who plays with the philosophy of football that we want.
For the club.
And therefore, if the coach goes, you bring in somebody else who's got that same philosophy. If you look at the smaller clubs that have been successful, the likes of Brentford and Brighton and so on.
So well.
That's what they do. This is the Brentford way of doing it.
They're very database driven, them two teams you just mentioned as well.
Yeah.
And United, there's been too much influence of coaches in terms of recruitment. Their voice has to be heard. There's been too much focus on the social media of recruiting players with
big followings.
And it is difficult if Manchester United had recruited Mitoma for 2.5 million, United fans are saying, 2.5 million, what are we doing? So there is a pressure. You've got to ignore the noise. And I think you've also got to have a long-term plan. So what you don't do is recruit a director of football, spend £219 million, because that's what they spent in the summer transfer window, and then sack him 5 months later because his culture is different to that of INEOS. And you've got to have football people making decisions. So I would say, this is our long-term strategy. This is the culture of the club. This is what we're going to stick at. It's going to be not pleasant initially, perhaps for a couple of years, but this is how we're going to do it. And you get the impression at Manchester United that they gave Erik ten Hag an extension to his contract in June. So therefore, that's a vote of confidence. And then the sack him 5 months later, it cost them an extra 10
Terrible
million.
bit of business, that, wasn't it?
It's a sign of the people at the top not really knowing what they're doing. So you need an owner and a chief executive and a director of football, all of whom are rowing in the same direction and say, this is the Manchester United way of doing things. This is how we're going to play football. We're not going to recruit a player because he's played against us or people on Match of the Day have said that he's good. We're going to recruit a player because, in terms of the style of play that we're looking at, these are the data analytical things which suggest that this player not only is good in that position, but he's actually a complement to the players playing alongside him. Because if you do that, you get benefits.
It's a mess. It's a mess because if you look at your last 5 managers or so, you've gone from, obviously Sir Alex, you can't count him, but then you've got David Moyes, different style of football. Then you've got LVG. Then you've got Mourinho, who plays a different style of football. Then you've got Ole, who's different. Then you've got, it's just been Erik ten Hag. Then you change the formation.
But the main point, what I think I agree with Kieran, is that each of those managers had too much influence on who they were buying. Just quickly before we move on from Man United, but the Man United fans want to know, I think, and I'm speaking on behalf of them, how much, it's the burning question, how much will they get to spend in the summer to help Ruben Amorim, who needs a lot of help at the moment? Like if they sell Rashford, the likes of him and others, Anthony.
If you're getting these people off the wage bill, first of all, so Marcus Rashford and Anthony, you're saving yourselves £500,000 a week in wages. So that's £25 million that's gone into the kitty. Wow. It looks like Villa have got an option to buy Marcus Rashford for around about 40 million, which if he's, I saw him play the last couple of weeks, that's looking a bargain. So he's looking good. He's looking good. He's an academy player, so that's pure profit. So that goes. So there's no reason why Manchester United still can't spend significant sums. Remember, last year they sold Mason Greenwood, they sold Scott McTominay, they've made 1 or 2 disposals in January as well. So I don't think that it's a case of how much they can spend. They can spend far more than 100 million. It's a case of doing it right, getting the right players.
Talking about doing it right, is getting the right, identifying the right talent, etc., that fits the club's culture and new philosophy, etc. But just talk us through how you spend that money, because if you say you have 100 million for a round figure, and you buy two £50 million players, right, in the first week of your window, the way that's structured, would that mean that you could maybe buy more than £150 million, £100 million players if it's structured right? Can you talk us through that?
Because the way that you do it for PSR purposes, you sign a £50 million player on a 5-year contract, that costs you $10 million a year. So,
but does the club receiving the money have to agree that we're not going to pay $50 million up front?
No, the cash doesn't matter. It's for PSR purposes, and normally deals are done on instalments. So, but that's not doesn't affect PSR. What they say, they've got this word amortization. So it says you take the transfer fee and you divide that by the contract. So if you look at Chelsea selling Mason Mount to Manchester United for 60 mil. That was 60 mil straight into the equation. They signed Caicedo for 100 million on an 8-year contract. 100 divided by 8 is 12.5.
So is that why they're making the 8-year contracts?
So
they're letting
now
makes sense.
The Premier League now said you've got to be a maximum of 5 for PSR purposes, but still you've got 60 million from the sale of Mason Mount. Even if you said Caicedo's on a 5-year contract, 100 divided by 5 is you can sign 3 Caicedos if you sell 1 academy player. Wow. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. This is why clubs are loving it from a perspective of getting rid of your kids.
Just to circle back, from a profit and a sustainability perspective, who are the best run clubs in the league, in the Premier League?
Spurs,
Wow.
They are the most profitable club in the history of the Premier League, by far.
Best stadium in the league.
Best stadium.
It's the only thing they've got.
Lowest wages compared to the money coming in. Or as a business, and if I take away my football hat and I put on my business hat, it's absolutely perfect. And also, they don't have to pay any bonuses for winning trophies.
Oh my gosh.
It's true.
Have been fired.
It's true.
Oh.
It's true. I mean, even Sir Alex used to say that Daniel Levy was the most difficult to negotiate with. There's 2 points here. I want to talk about Barcelona, for example. Every season we see them and they can't register players. Does PSR work the same globally? Like, so for example, do they have different thresholds in the Liga? And why do they keep getting in trouble?
Okay, the way that it works in La Liga is that you look at the amount of money you've got to repay in loans, the amount of money you've got to repay in terms of just the general running of the club, how much money you're bringing in, and then the difference, whatever's left over, you can spend on wages. So Barcelona had to cut back their wage bill because it cost them a fortune to rebuild the stadium. They've gone completely crazy, and they signed Coutinho. Didn't work out. They signed Dembele, didn't work out. They signed Griezmann, didn't work out. That's 3 players, each of whom cost more than €100 million. Well, if you make 3 big mistakes like that, you've got a legacy problem, and those costs had to be dealt with, and that's why they've sold the rights for the merchandise, they've sold the rights for TV and this, that, and the other, and you run out of things to sell eventually, and that's...
So they need to win the La Liga, and they're hoping for the Champions League win as well, basically.
They need more than that.
Champions League win with Barcelona's stadium, you're probably looking at the thick end of €200 million this season. So it's huge. This expanded version of the Champions League.
Help them in more games than that.
Oh, yeah.
Kieran, before you go, just need to ask you another question that might help Joel and some of his mates and some of the other guys behind the cameras who are massive Arsenal fans. But how well run are Arsenal? Because I saw something the other day about their wage bill jumping, like a massive increase on last season. Should people like Joel and all these other Arsenal fans be quaking in their boots and worried?
No, you're absolutely fine. Arsenal's wage bill...
Give me something to cheer about here, man.
Sorry.
It's been depressing in here.
Arsenal are the second most profitable club in the history of the Premier League. So they're behind Spurs.
Okay.
So 2 teams that are highly profitable and well run, the best 2 well run clubs in the league, cannot get their hands on a trophy.
That's
I was just saying, you've got to mash it up
we're
and
not
just go
Spurs.
crazy.
We won trophies in the last 10 years. We have.
The wage bill went up by 40%. Why was that? Well, they recruited Declan Rice. They gave Saka a new contract, and deservedly so. Kai Havertz. And also the players were on big bonuses for getting to the Champions League. So that's the money going out. But the money coming in, that went up by a third as well. So actually they made a relatively small loss. They've got no problems whatsoever in terms of recruitment this summer. It does make you wonder, therefore, they wouldn't have any problems in January either, why they chose to do nothing.
Why didn't they sign a striker? I'm thinking they've got money issues.
No, they don't. It's just the Cronkies are looking at it and thinking business is going well.
But so what do you think, like Arsenal fans, Cronky is doing rubbish, they're doing well in the financial aspect, but if they don't buy players and sign players, does that mean someone like Cronky? Because I'm thinking what you're getting at is he's taking money back out of the club. Then is that what they're doing?
No, he's not. He's known as Silent Stand for a reason. He just seems to let people get on with it. I think it has to come down to director of football, chief executive, and manager haven't managed to agree on who to sign.
I just think they Arsenal are stubborn. The people that are recruiting are stubborn and just saying, if we're not getting who we want, we're not making the signing.
I agree, and to an extent, it is correct, because you go, all right, you got to make sure they fit the personality of the team. We don't have personality issues at the club, like other clubs. All of our players are happy to be there, that we sing off one hymn sheet. But the problem is, when you become that close from winning, you need to start doing something. Otherwise, you got Marina up front for you in the weekend.
Or you get people that saying they want Arteta out. It's a disgrace, really, for me.
That's not me.
I've seen a lot of your fan base start saying that. You don't know what he's doing. I think he's done a wonderful job there, not being able to have a number one striker.
I think he's done a great job as well.
Anyway, Kieran, before we start arguing, Kieran, thank you so much for coming in and just clearing up a few of the big questions that we had.
Thank you so much for the
fun.
You've
invite.
been brilliant.
Top
Thank
man.
you.
Cheers.
Yes, guys, we've got a brand new partner for the podcast, Huel. Here it is right in front of me. And do you know what? It's actually a genuine one because I do use this myself. When I'm on the move, in the mornings, in the afternoons, at games when I'm there, when the food ain't the best, if I've got to be honest. This right here is the Black Edition, by the way. I've only just kind of got into this one because it's new. But it's got 35 grams of protein. And when you're in the gym like me, this is what you need. 26 essential vitamins and minerals, low in sugar. And it's got the nutrients your body needs to thrive. There's no messing about with this one. And listen, over 500 million meals are sold worldwide. This is the bad boy. This bottle gives you a perfectly balanced meal, no prep, no cooking, tastes unreal, easy on the wallet. So if you want to try it, here's the deal. New customers get £10 off, yes, £10, plus a free gift using my exclusive code. Rio Presents at huel.com/Rio Presents. Hit the link in the description, check the T's and C's, and unlock a healthier, easier way to fuel your day with Huel. So Joel, you ain't got to worry about finances now. The professor's cleared it up. You guys are a well-run club. Just can't get your hands on trophies. It's fine. But just, well, actually talking about that, title race. You still, shades and cigar still coming in, or are we doing?
I took them off on Saturday during the match. I had to take them off because
Jared Bowen.
yeah, after Bowen scored, I thought, oh, what's going on here?
The Hammers.
Oh, you're a Hammers now, yeah? When
That's my club when I grew up.
Yeah, when
The academy.
convenient. When
Yeah,
convenient.
man, the Hammers just come in there, just put a dent in your title hopes, man.
When
Nail in the
convenient.
coffin.
Rio, this is probably the saddest I've been all season.
Is it?
Yeah, because if you look at last week, all I'm asking for is for us to close the gap, bro. Like, close it down to 2 points before, we play Liverpool. Please, just close it.
Make it competitive.
Just seriously, man. And the fact that we couldn't do it's just like we went, we didn't even have a proper swing at it. We went,
It's like a baggy double fault, isn't it? At Wimbledon when you're watching it, it's just like a tired after 5 hours
you're just
baggy
like,
one.
what's the point? You look, and I respect Marino because he's playing in a position that's not his. He's trying, but
You've got a CDM up front, isn't it? What's happened there then?
honestly, recruitment.
So that's what I'm saying. The professor was telling us that you could have gone out and made signings. You could have gone out. Is it the fact that you just like Isak weren't available or what?
I don't know. Maybe they were looking at Isak and going, his injury record or something else because maybe, yeah, because no, maybe I don't know. I'm saying, I don't know. Maybe that's what they thought.
No way.
If you're looking at Gyökeres, I don't know. Maybe they wanted to wait a little bit to see if he was a little bit more proven. I don't know. I can't tell you. If I had the answers, I'll probably be working at the club where they are. But unfortunately, I do think 11 points now, even though we have a game in hand, I think 11 points now is you're relying on Arsenal to not lose any games. Liverpool can probably afford to lose 3. It's too much of an ask.
Impossible. It's impossible.
It's not
task.
impossible because it's still mathematically possible, but we have to. It's going to
With
be
your
really
form,
tough.
the way you're dropping points.
Well,
the way
we
you
ain't
just,
got a striker, Rio. Where are the goals coming from? So Rio, if I had the answers, man,
you
like
sound broken. Are you right?
Rio, I'm not gonna lie, I am done. I had the plan coming in here today, wearing shades and the cigar. I was gonna say it's back on.
You got a black eye now.
Yeah, but
You might
to
need them
cover it,
shades.
But yeah, that's nothing more I can say.
Right, that's short and sharp with Arsenal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
United though,
What about
just about got the draw. First of all, you've gone quiet in the group chat when we watch the games. You got to talk to me. Do you expect to win games when you watch now, or do you think, here we go again?
No.
GTA meme.
So I was on TNT at the weekend with Big Duncan Ferguson. What a guy, by the way. And they asked me on the show, like, do you expect United to win today? I said, Everton are favourites at Goodison. Everton are favourites. And he wasn't even close to me. I look at the fixture list. I don't see wins. There's nowhere with any conviction that anyone can go, Man United can go there.
Definitely winning that game.
Yeah, go there and win that. And actually at Old Trafford, they can win that. Because they haven't shown us this season consistently that they can pick up results. I watched them at the weekend for the first 65, 70 minutes, they were embarrassing is what I said on the telly, and they were. I watched it back again, it was like, no, actually it confirmed it to me, they were really bad, right? And I've looked at them for a while now, and if they didn't have Bruno in their team, right, at times they look like a Div 1 team. Because you look at it and you just think they've got they have no idea how to play out. I watched the game against Everton again and in detail, and the manager is being very stubborn. And this is what he said. They brought me in here because of the particular way that I manage and the style of football, and I respect that, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not telling him to go away from his philosophy and what he's trying to coach as a manager to this team. But what I would say that momentarily in games, there's moments when you go away from what you're being taught because the game demands that from you. So if you're trying to play out from restarts with Onana at the back and play out through the back, and they're putting 4, 5, 6 players at the top of the pitch pressing you, there's going to be spaces somewhere else on the pitch to play over or around. Man United are still trying to play ticky-tacky football around their own box and getting caught and pressed, and then they're conceding shots or corners, and it's just creating pure hysteria in the back line. So you think, naturally, game management, right, guys, someone's in there going, guys, play over that press. They got 4 or 5 of them on us, play over that. And by the way, at the moment, we're lacking any type of confidence to play.
That sounds like leadership. That sounds like, if you were playing, that sounds like leadership where you go, this is what's going on. Can you give us, do you have any examples where you had to go away from Sir Alex's philosophy?
Yeah, mate, I swear to you, most away games we play, most away games, everyone tries to paint Sir Alex's tenure as perfect, right? But trust me, in Europe, at home here in the Premier League, at teams that people will go, you're meant to blow away. Yeah. At times, we used to go to places like West Brom and that. It'd be graft, hard games. Right. When I got it, if I overplayed a couple of times, some Scholes might turn around and say, Rio, just play it in behind, feather it in behind their fullback and let's get up the pitch for a bit. Or if one of us is trying to overplay, I'll be shouting it to someone, etc. Like, and you're doing it. And
so you're managing the game better.
You're managing the game in the game. All right, and whatever the manager's told us, right, we'll get back to that. We're going to get back to that, but right now we are backs against the walls and we've got to play out. No, I remember Carrow Road a few times. Under it, man. Right, play it straight up to the forward, and that's another thing. They're not being able to play it up to a striker as well. Louis Saha was the best at it. Yeah. Sometimes you come on the pitch or we play an away game and you go, thank God we've got Louis today. We've got Cristiano, we've got Rooney, we've got Tevez, we've got Berbatov, but today. Away, I needed him. And sometimes it's personnel. Yeah. We haven't got that right now, the personnel to make different changes and play. But what I would say with Højlund, one of his biggest traits is running. That's what I saw when I was at Atalanta, running through on things. Just play the ball in there, man.
Yeah, like we said last week, fighting too much with defenders, etc. Yeah. But that brings us back to Bruno. So sometimes we criticize him because we think, especially myself, I look at him and I go, oh, he's overdoing it with the chances, etc. But if you go back and you take a player that would have raised their value since coming to United, the only thing that would drop his value now is probably the age. But if you're looking at, if you was to have a resale value where you would get the probably the same price for a player, it's him. Is he disrespected? And if so, what's his stats saying about that?
Bruno is massively disrespected. All this talk about, he's not captain material and he's trying to look for negatives in his game. When you look, I'll read out his stats here. Since he's come, 28 goals, 18 assists in his first season. That's 46 goal involvements. 10 goals, 13 assists in his second season. Third season, 14 goals, 13 assists. 15 goals, 13 assists. He's got 10 now, 12 assists. That says to me, it's screaming one thing. Consistency, output. Like, this is what this guy brings and delivers. And I look at it and go, some of the things he gets called out for are his body language, etc. Yeah, there can be improvements in there. But that is born out of frustration. That's born out of not being helped. That's born out of, you know what? I'm fucking doing my job here. Look at the stats. Look, I'm doing my job. No player's created more chances since he signed for Man United in the Premier League, by the way. Yeah, not Kevin De Bruyne, nobody. He's created more chances than anybody since he signed for Man United. So he's doing these things. So if you put a human touch on that, you would be frustrated. You would be pissed off that the club's signing players that ain't been able to deliver. You would be going and one of the things that he gets criticised for, and I understand why he does, but you've got to look at the reasons why he's doing what he's doing. Sometimes you see him going to the fullback trying to get the ball. Sometimes you see him going to the centre half to try and get the ball. Then you see him getting up front and on the edge of the box and trying to do crazy things. That's frustration because he's not being able to do what he should be doing. I know what he's being asked to do. He's not doing it. So, right, you get out of the way, holding midfielders, and I'll go and get it and show you what to do. That's what he's doing. If other people are doing their jobs, I don't then need to go there and try and show you how to do your job. That's what Bruno's ended up doing. That's why he's always, when you look at him, people go, oh, he's out of position or he's doing this. Because I actually feel sorry for him in a sense.
If he doesn't play, you're definitely looking at championship football.
No, I think they're a championship team when he don't play. Div 1 team sometimes when you look at them, because I think they're, again, lacking confidence. They're getting overrun a lot of the times. I think they get bullied sometimes. You look at them in the first 45, especially against Everton, second to every ball almost, outrun. For the second goal, outrun. And even the goal, the first goal from the set piece, they've had 5-6 opportunities to get the ball cleared. Do you know what I mean? And not get into it. Like, you can say luck, but it happens too often to be just luck. Do you know what I mean? Who's going to dominate and go and just get the ball and clear it? Okay, you look at Everton, different project altogether. David Moyes has gone there. They're flying now. The main thing it's off the back of is graft. Them players are going out there and grafting. If the Man United players can start with that, them fans who travel and pay their money to come and watch will be on side. Because one thing them fans appreciate is people that work and graft and don't get rolled over and are willing to meet teams nose to nose on the halfway line, anywhere on the pitch, and say, yeah, and growl. You get your confidence through doing some of the dirty work. If they buy into that now, this team, you can build your confidence slowly over time. And the confidence ain't going to come back bang like that. You're going to need a few weeks at least with the amount of stuff that's gone on prior to this. So that would be my one word of advice for this team, definitely. Look like when you go to places like Everton, look like when you're at home, that whatever happens, guys, no matter who's watching this game, you ain't going to level at me a lack of hard work, a lack of intensity, a lack of aggression. I'm not saying they don't work hard, but in the right way. Run people down, make it hard for the opposition team, make the other team come off the pitch going, do you know what? They're lacking a bit of quality, this team, and confidence with the ball. But boy, we've had to graft to get out of here with anything.
Did you hear Amarim's quotes about Huel? He said, sometimes he needs to realise he has to do a job for the team without the ball.
He's got to affect games more. Yeah. A number 9 in a team, either you've got to get in the box and get shots off. He got in the box once and he didn't look like he was ever going to get a shot off. Like, when you get in the box, it's about actually making the other defenders work, and they keep trying to make the keeper work. Yes, he's having limited time in there. But them stats tell you in terms of touches in the box. Gabriel, your centre-back at Arsenal's had more touches in the box than Huel. And that's not just about him. That's about Man United's inability to create things in the final third.
That is insane.
Right?
That is insane.
It is. And that goes back to my point about Garnacho. Garnacho, he's 12th in the league in terms of entries into the box of the opposition team. That's why I'm saying you can talk about his quality. At least he's getting in there. At least he's got the balls to get on the ball and try and get in there and create havoc. Do you know what I mean? And it's not scientific or no science behind it, but the more times you're in the box, the more opportunities you're going to have to score goals. So he's the one in our team who gets us in there more than anyone else. Has to play for me.
Statman Dave, shout out to Statman Dave. He's been helping us with some of the specific analysis on Huel. 2 Premier League goals this season. And he says Huel is having a similar number of touches in the box as Chris Wood and Mateta. Wow. Huel 3.6 and Mateta 3.7. Now, let me go back to Mateta first of all. That's mad because Mateta's getting the ball from outside the box a lot of the times and running at defenders. So we can't even compare what the two are doing. Like, Mateta is on a different planet at the moment. And of course, Chris Wood, who's also had a good season with runners in behind, etc. But yeah, he's not getting anywhere near the numbers of shots away as those two. And he's only getting 1.4 shots away per 90 minutes. And that's 16 in total this Premier League season. It's not good news, is it, when you look at it?
But I don't think that's solely down to Huel. I have to say, Man United in the final third, they don't have any ideas of how they're going to get into the final third. There's no patterns of play. They're trying to create patterns in their own third and the middle third of the pitch, but once they get into the final third, they're very much a team that just seem like, wow, we're up here, we're surprised to almost be there. So that reflects badly on him and his numbers. But what I would say, he doesn't help himself. No. I see some of the situations that he gets himself in, and he's like, he's bringing the ball in, and you're going, right, he's got it in, and then his awareness isn't there to see the next challenge coming in, he gets taken off him. Yeah. So
he doesn't take shots, Rio. That's one of my biggest things.
Yeah,
he doesn't take shots. Like, when do you look and go, oh, you know what?
It happened at the weekend. He got in the box and he faced up the centre half, and he ended up going out and passing it out wide, and then he went back to the fullback, and it was like, you was in the box, man.
You've got to be selfish.
Shift it, bang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Defoe in them situations there, shift, bang, goal. I can name loads of players that they live and breathe for that moment. It's just, I don't know. He's obviously lacking a lot of confidence. He's a young, I'm not trying to make an excuse, but he's young as well, right? And I don't think he's helped by the fact that there's no one of any experience up there that you can learn off. I said this on the pod a few weeks ago.
Confidence, Rio.
Yeah, and confidence.
That is the key word. Yeah. Do you know why I say confidence? If you look at in the Premier League top 4 shot takers right? Just the takers. You got Semenyo, who Bournemouth are having a brilliant season. If you go down the coast, they're singing their praises, right? He's thinking, I'm the man here. Him and Justin doing their thing over there. You've got Haaland, who no one's got to tell him. He knows he's the big dog, regardless of what City season are having. You got Salah, potentially.
He's the most decisive man in Europe right now.
Come on, Ballon d'Or. You got Cole Palmer, Chelsea. Who's going to tell him? Who's going to tell him anything? So it also goes down to, I think confidence is a key thing. And you've been saying it for the last few months, that confidence is on the floor. I don't know, man. I as much as the professor was saying that it's about giving it time and it might look rough over the first few years, I don't actually think the fans, not all fans, but I think there's a lot of noise online that will not allow Amorim the time that people think he will have,
Yeah, I don't think you can go. I don't think it's about sacking the manager.
So we've spoken about Mo Salah, devastating on the weekend.
Decisive.
Could be a Ballon d'Or winner if he carries on like this, if I'm honest with you. But we've also seen the comments made by Jamie Carragher on Mo Salah. He might not win the Ballon d'Or. We got to go back to that. Is he saying because he's not going to be able to win another major tournament and, that's why he won't win the Ballon d'Or? Or if Liverpool don't win the Champions League, then he doesn't win the Ballon d'Or? What was that contents and what did you think of his comments? Because he's had a few howlers in the last few weeks.
Jamie Carragher, he's had a few, he's been called out on a few things. But the Haaland one, I think, was a little bit strange because he was actually, you could see he was messing about with Haaland, saying that he didn't want to face, that's why he's not playing, because of Rudiger. Yeah. I think he was joking, but the way it was presented to the manager by some stupid journalist was like, it was a serious comment. And obviously his reaction was what you'd expect from Pep. But no, it's picked up a lot of comments, isn't it? When Carragher said about Mo Salah not winning. So to give it a bit of context, he was meant to have said something along the lines of the reason why Mo Salah won't win the Ballon d'Or is because the African Nations Cup isn't of the level of a Euros or a South American Cup or Copa America. Yeah. And I think that comment is representative of the majority of people out there would say that. I don't think that's right. I think that's an ignorant kind of thought process, because the African Nations Cup, if you go to Didier Drogba, Abidi Pele, over there, Samuel Eto'o, down to the
all
players now, Mahrez, Mo Salah, Mane now, they'll tell you this is that we have to win this. It's a demand in their countries to win this. Yes, it doesn't get back to resources wise like Euros, etc. But doesn't that mean that you have to devalue it? It's a continent of huge power, a continent that contributes to European football through players immensely, massively. African players this season have participated in 59,110 minutes of football in the Premier League. South American players have participated in 62,302 minutes. So there's nothing really between it. Both these continents stand side by side, South America and Africa. So they should be respected accordingly. But what I would say is because of the lack of resources that are put into it, and listen, we've had some African players that come out and have actually canned it for the lack of resources and hotel rooms and what goes on, flight issues, etc. So then obviously the narrative then from the media becomes, it's like it's a Mickey Mouse tournament, but it ain't.
If you look at the winners of the African Player of the Year, these things they're important. Players. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and these guys celebrate. You saw Lookman, when he celebrated
huge.
That. This is big moments for these players. So so obviously Micah and Daniel kind of was putting Jamie kind of straight on it, but I understand what Jamie's saying, but I don't agree with it. But I understand that is the majority's fault, if we're honest, and it's not right. But a majority of people out there do think that about the African Nations stuff. But I think that the federations like FIFA need to make sure that they implement a way of thinking and language around the African nations that actually equals the Euros and the Copa America. Agreed. I think that's the point.
Agreed. And also, look, I know you can't shove every tournament in the summer, but maybe, I don't know, is it changing the time of year that it's in? I don't know if that works, because I know there's the other competitions. And I think our producer George said it right as well. Like, the standard of football has increased so massively as well. When you look at a lot of those players are playing in Europe anyway. And is that really different? Is it a different level from the Copa?
No, I think what Jamie was trying to say as well, where again I think he's right in what he's saying, because that is what happens if Mo Salah won the African Nations Cup, that would have no bearing on anyone's voting.
Which is wrong.
When they vote for the Ballon d'Or, which is absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
That's what he was saying, and one of the parts of what his argument was. If Mane, he finished second, I think it's 2022.
Yeah.
That has no bearing on anyone's vote. I don't think anyone, when they're voting, the captains and the media and all the managers, I don't think they go, oh, before I just make a judgment on who is a top three, where did Mo Salah finish in the African nations?
It's true.
I don't think anyone asked that question. And that's wrong. That's where it needs to be changed. I think that's where, again, the language, where media, where FIFA need to start really punching that home, that the African nations has to be taken as serious as the Copa America and the Euros.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the biggest continents that contributes to our football here in Premier League, but also in Europe.
Agreed. Well said, Rio. And I think Daniel and Micah saying something about it was key as well, man.
I don't think Jamie was too happy about that.
No. He's had a few. Like
He was on the back foot, boy. He was on the back
He's
foot.
looking for Keno to support. Keno just
Keno just said, let it on pass.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, you know what? I want to say, Rio, thank you very much.
Keno was in the back going, man on.
Yeah.
Man on. And then just let it slide through like that. No. Sorry.
But yeah, no, I was just gonna say thanks for taking it easy on me today. I thought, I was getting messages online like, oh, can't wait till Monday. Oh, man, I wasn't in a good place. You know,
I feel for you, bro.
And you said just before you go, you said Ashley Young. Did he say anything, or did he?
No, he didn't. I mean, initially when I first saw it, I thought it was a penalty. I have to say, I was in the stadium. I watched it quickly on a replay, and in quick time, I was like, do you know what? Harry Maguire's got his hands on him. De Ligt actually pulls his shirt.
Yeah,
I think it's a pen. And I still think today, if it was given as a pen, I don't think anyone really is going, oh, that's a disgraceful decision. We've seen far worse decisions.
Yeah, but people drag shirts in the box all the time. That's my
the
thing.
The rule is you shouldn't.
Yeah, but well, then make it consistent.
But if I was playing and my forward shirt got tugged and he didn't go down, trust me, at half time or full time, I'm going and saying, what are you doing? It's a penalty there. Go down, bro.
But that's the problem. Ashley Young got tugged a bit and he went down, and you got to make it look, at least, his looked like it was.
Yeah, people
all
are
over
hammering him. But listen, if it's your teammate and it doesn't go down, you're going, why didn't you go down? So you can't have it both ways.
Well, there you go. Look, everyone.
People saying just because he played for Man Utd, he shouldn't do it. Shut up, man. You're chatting rubbish. I see all these comments online. Because he played for Man Utd, shut the hell up. He's playing for his new team, and that's who he gets paid by to play for, and he's got to do the best for that team. All bets are off with your old club. It's gone. That loyalty's gone when you're playing that 90 minutes.
Were you like that when you played?
Do you think when I signed for Leeds that I didn't want to just batter West Ham at the time? There's no way I wanted to go to West Ham and get beat. Do you think when I was playing for Man United against Leeds that I wanted, I'll give them a little squeeze and take 10% out of my performance? No. If there's a 50-50 decision to be made, I'm screaming and going out to Rest's face and saying, give us a decision. Forget that I played for West Ham or Leeds.
Forget your old teammates.
Do you think that my teammates are not going to dive? My old teammates and go, because Ashley's playing on, or Rio's playing on that team there. I won't dive this time.
That's why Cristiano gave the wink to, against Rooney.
That's how it goes, man.
Man, that's brilliant stuff. Rio, thank you again. A really good session today. Thank you very much. I said session, That's what it feels like these days.
It's a therapy session for us, isn't it? It's a therapy session.
It's crazy. Thank you very much for watching Rio Ferdinand Presents. Please keep on watching the channel. There's been a big interview with Courtois that come out, and I watched that. I thought that was really good,
What a guy.
Yeah.
Best keeper in the world, man.
Really, really good. And honestly, there's a reason why he's won all those trophies. Real Madrid, he's going to be a Real Madrid legend as well, in my opinion, man. He's done really well.
He's won 2 Champions Leagues already.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine even winning 2 Champions Leagues? That club doesn't guarantee you being a legend.
Yeah, it's true.
Crazy.
He's still behind Iker right now.
Mate, honestly, that's number 1.
Anyway.
But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Joel Beya, Rio Ferdinand, signing out, and we will be back soon. Peace.
Thank you guys for listening to this episode of Rio Presents. Hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be here every Monday throughout the season, so tell your mates and all get involved, man. If you've got a point you think we should be discussing or want to put us on the spot with a question you want answering, get in touch using the fans first at rioferdinandpresents.com email address or use #RFP on social. Make sure you leave us a review and follow this Rio Ferdinand Presents feed, and you'll never miss an episode. See ya on the next one.